interviewing internationally known author Alexandra York. I remember your first novel was a novel by name of Cross Points, which was a novel about choice, actually.
Right. Cross Points are novel of choice, actually.
And right now we're going to be talking about your brand new novel called The Innocent. I was fascinated when I read it because you have a quote at the opening by Mahatma Gandhi. And let me read it. It says, "Non cooperation with evil is as much a duty as cooperation with the good." Is that the ongoing theme of The Innocent?
It is, and it's the reason I really wrote it, because many people don't understand that if you may be against evil, and there's evil in the world because human beings have free will. So because they have free will, they can do good or they can do evil. But if you cooperate with evil, even to the point of not naming it, and in today's politically correct world, especially, people are afraid to make moral judgments, and moral judgments are extremely important. So if you don't, as Gandhi said, if you don't fail, if you cooperate in any regard with evil, then you're helping, you're cooperating with evil. So this novel is very focused between evil and good, and I involve the mafia because it's a perfect example of evil that is in our world, is glamorized, is romanticized, but it isn't glamorous, it isn't romantic. It's evil and it's emblematic of that. So I juxtapose that with innocence and the true innocent people who are damaged all along the way. So it's about judgment, really.
A lot of the novels and the films today, they glamorize it, which in a sense, not only do they allow the evil, it's as though they condone it by glamorizing.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons I wrote this, because it's important that we make a distinction between good and bad. And even if one can't do anything about it physically, one has to be able to name it. We have to report to our own souls. And one has to be able to name what is good and what is wrong, what is moral, what is immoral, at least inside your own mind.
That's to me, this novel is very. It's just so apropos of times today, because it seems to be a battle between good and evil going on this planet, and it's just amazing. It's as though you tuned right into the energy. And you've written the most perfect novel for today, and I recommend everyone read this. Because most of the best-selling fiction today, follow through their characters, but they're always like condoning evil. Yours do not. You expose them.
That's right. And that's one of the reasons that I don't write series novels. The most popular novels today are series novels where the same character goes through different adventures. And for me, that would not be interesting as a creative source, because every book I write, creating the characters is part of the excitement. It's part of the as you said, the energy, because those characters have to be created in a way to serve my story. So if I had the same characters all the time, half my work would be done, and I wouldn't find it fun.
Do you, like some writers say, well, I create my characters and they create the story? Do you feel that way about your characters?
No,
or do you control them?
I have complete control over all my characters at all times, except that in Cross Points, I have a Greek immigrant here in America, and he was so charming that at a certain, no character gets out of control for me. But this one, Costas, he was so charming that I ended up sort of being interested in what he had to say. So I did fall for it once.
I read the book, and frankly, I'd like to meet him.
Yes. In fact, when Topol, who played Fiddler on the Roof, when he read the manuscript of this, my agent gave it to him before it was published, and he wrote me the nicest letter, and he said, I want to play Costas. But that's about the Cross Points. This is about the Innocent.
Well, I find your books would translate into films very easily. I think they're just perfect. That if the right studio came along, had the sense to read this book, I think they just translate in the visual, because you're such a visual writer.
I think it's because I myself come from the theater. I was in the theater my whole life, as a performer, as a singer, as an actress, and when I went into writing full time, I think that theatrical background came with me, and I think that's why you feel the way you do.
Yeah, I see it in your writing. You know, your books, they are listed as romantic suspense stories, but a lot of them are just like fantasy or escapism. But yours may be romantic, but there's realism. Like you come up with concepts. What you write is thought-provoking. It's not just escapism or just pure romanticism.
Thank you. That's a difficult thing in today's publishing world, because you always get put into some genre. And I don't really belong in any particular genre. They put me in the romantic suspense category because my books are very romantic. I write great love scenes, as you know.
Yes.
They're very romantic, they're very suspenseful, but it is really my goal to offer ideas so that people can think about something, they can explore a subject. So in that regard, my work is literary because it's referential and there's a lot to learn, there are a lot of information in there, but it's also romantic. But it's not escapism, it is not fantasy, it's right here and now with today's issues being dealt with.
But the great thing about your writing is that your characters are so real. You know that you get so involved in the story and in your characters that you don't realize that the messages. Afterwards, you say, "Hey, wait a minute." She's really come up with something here. It's like you're getting involved in the book, involved in the characters, and then all of a sudden you say, hey, wait a minute, she's got a message in here.
This is very funny that you should say that, because I had one reader come up to me one time, and it was a woman, and she said, this is the most amazing novel. She said, I know that this is romantic suspense, but she said, somehow, you trick people into thinking.
Oh, that's wild.
I loved that.
That's perfect.
That was
but
very
you do.
funny. Well, you have to be brainy.
How do you come up with these characters and their names? I write, but I know what I do, but yours is like they're so real. Like the names fit the character. It's as though you make them so real.
Well, I actually spend a lot of time creating my characters because I want them to be psychologically integrated with their purpose in the book, because every character has a purpose, right?
Right.
But also, I work very hard on their names. I work phonetically. For example, the heroine of The Innocent, her name, her Italian name is Elena Gaudoni, and her father is the boss of all bosses, which of course she doesn't know until she's in college, and that changes her whole life. So she changes her name to Elise Gannon, which lets her keep the same initials, and that comes up in the plot somewhere along the line. But I wanted it to have, she's a beautiful young singer, she writes her own music, it's melodic, it's romantic, so I wanted the name to have Elise Gannon.
Beautiful.
It flows, you know?
Yeah, it does.
So, and then the male lead is Lorgan Cantrell. Now he's a big-time agent for singers, And Lorgan doesn't sound Italian at all, does it?
No.
So his name is Lorgan Cantrell, but his last name is really Cantrelli, which is why she doesn't ever suspect that he's
Who he
Italian.
really is.
So I spend a lot. Thank you for that question. It's a nice question because I spend a lot of time trying to make the names bespeak the character before they say a word.
Another thing, your first novel was about the visual arts. This one, Singer, is a heroine, so it's also about music, which is the arts. So in both novels, you picked arts as your setting, the first visual and the other
Music.
performance.
Right. Well, I did that because look, there are two sides of a coin in life, the arts and romance. I've always said, you show me what kind of art someone likes and who they sleep with, and I can tell you everything about them. But it's really true because the arts are a physical manifestation of values, right? Painting,
Supposed to
sculpture.
be,
Yes,
yes.
well, hopefully. But painting, sculpture, fiction, opera, these are all ideas, these are concepts that are brought to physical manifestation through the arts. And so, who is the person you love? If you are a rational person, the person you love is the opposite sex that is the embodiment of your values.
That's interesting.
So it's the same thing. The person you love is the embodiment of your values in a live human being, and the arts are an embodiment of your values in physical manifestations.
Ideally.
Well, I believe the ideal is
Ideal.
possible.
I still do, actually, too.
No, I believe in the ideal. And even if you don't reach the ideal, the journey is worth it.
That's the trick to life, I think. That's the trick to everything, is to live in the moment. All we have is this moment. Make this moment as real and as positive as possible, which leads to the next.
I agree with that, but I also believe that one needs a destination. If you just live in the moment for that
Oh, no, no,
moment,
no.
you know, that could become hedonistic or something.
No, no, no.
So I know you didn't mean that.
No, not in that,
But
not
I'm
at
just
all.
saying that one has to have an idea to work toward.
Exactly.
Something
Goal,
that's a
or
goal,
goal-oriented.
a purpose. And if you have that purpose, then of course
And then
you live along the way.
the steps along the way. A lot of people live the future and they don't enjoy these steps to gain that future, and that the joy in creating, to me. Like when you write your novel, you have the first chapter, you have the ideas, and it's a lot of work writing, but you have the goal of finishing this novel, you have an idea how it's going to turn out, but you have to enjoy the process.
That's right. But it's very interesting because whenever I have written a novel, and I write nonfiction too, but whenever I write a piece of fiction, whether it's short story or novel, for example, not the next novel, but the one after that, I already have the first words and the last words written.
Oh my God. What,
So-
there's going to be a next novel.
Yes. The next one should be out next summer.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you what it's going to be about. We're going to wait and see, and I would thank you so much. It's been such a joy talking with you and so enlightening. The Innocent, and it's for sale.
It's on Amazon.com. It's in both the book form and in Kindle. And I hope those who read it enjoy it and get tricked into thinking.
For sure. Thank you so much, Alexandra York.
Thank you.